It's okay, we've been here before. Carry on the light, they won't know it hurts more. We can pull apart time, this will last forever. You should learn to be kind, it always ends in fire. It's okay, we've been here before. Carry on the light, they won't know it hurts more. It's okay, we've been here before. Carry on the light, they won't know it hurts more.
Hello, everyone out there. I suppose it's ridiculous for me to wait for a response. This is the HP Podcast, episode number 354. As always, I'm Ben. And with me here today is, well, only half of the beautiful boys. Davey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm I'm good. I've had a weird week. My wife and I invested in a real coffee machine. So before we just had like a drip, it was a duo thing. So it was like drip coffee.
Yep.
But it also had the pod thing.
Yep.
And now we've upgraded to like a 3-in-1. It like grinds the beans. It does espresso, and has like the frother thing.
Yep.
So like,
is it a Ninja?
It is a Ninja, yeah. So got it from Costco, and it's changed my life. It's ruined like regular coffee for me.
Yeah.
Because it just tastes so good, and I think it's going to cost me a lot of money because we bought a bag of beans from we found it. We listened to what everybody on the internet told us and went and bought freshly roasted beans from a local roaster. And the bag costs like 30 loonies, and we've already gone through half of it. And granted, you know, we were using it a little bit more because we were testing out stuff and that kind of thing. But like, I used to buy like a big thing of grounds from also Costco, and that would last like at least a month. So I guess there is a price to pay for better quality beans. But I think it's
what's your preferred brand
of coffee?
Yeah.
I don't think I had a preferred brand.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I would just buy what was on sale that week. But I think now that we're going down a different route, with like actually tasting the beans a little bit more, I
Yeah,
might have to get a little bit more particular with what I get. But I think having a local roaster in town is cool because they have a few different kind of things they do. But
sure.
I don't know. It's kind of like getting into craft beer for the first time, but with coffee, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I used to be a bit more of a coffee snob. For a long time I was, and if I wasn't making it in a pour over, it wasn't good enough. And then I got really busy and really lazy at the same time somehow. And I was like, it's not the best coffee I've ever had, but I'll just throw something in the Keurig. It's great. Like it's great for the quickness and the ease of use. Um, Now we go somewhere in between. It's still not great coffee, but at least we have a drip. We also have it's like one of those you were describing where it has like the drip on one side, Keurig on the other. But we never use the pods at all. Like maybe occasionally if we have like somebody over and only one person wants coffee or something, we'll just make one.
Right.
But that's rare. But I still love really good coffee, but I don't turn my nose up at stuff that's less than that.
Right.
Except like the old standby, like our parents' generation's coffee, like Maxwell House and Folgers and stuff like. I won't drink it. I'd rather just not have coffee. And then that's not from a snobbish place. That's from it's disgusting
Right.
place. So I totally relate to the paying a little more equals a little more hurt. But sometimes, I'll go to a coffee shop sometimes and get a regular drip coffee or a pour over or whatever. Pay $8 or $10, but that's like once or twice a year. Now it's like, let's give me something average.
Right. Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm average. Why should my coffee be better than me?
You deserve better, Ben. Always.
I mean, maybe I deserve it, but I don't need it.
Yeah, that's true. But the streamer Co Carnage, he does his own coffee, and I've been watching him for years, and I've been tempted to get some of his beans. I'm sure they're nothing special, but it is cool that there's so many people who kind of had their tendrils in the coffee world. But yeah, I think just like the grinding of the beans yourself, really kind of like it could be shit coffee, but the fact that I've ground my own beans just has given this thing in my head that like the product I'm gonna taste is better. But
yeah, I think to some extent it does. I think the problem is that people get coffee that's already ground and it's I'll drink already ground coffee, but I vastly prefer grinding beans. But people will get coffee that's already ground that wasn't that good to begin with, and it's been ground and in the can for however long, or the bag or whatever, and so it's even longer stale, and they don't really know what fresh coffee tastes like. And when you grind it yourself, the beans could still be stale, but if they're fresh, you notice a difference. It's crazy too, like when you're talking about pour over or French press or anything above, I say above, anything that's not just drip, you can notice a real difference in the taste of the coffee just with a small percentage of degree change too.
Right.
It can be just a little bit different temperature water that you add to it and makes a huge difference.
There's so many variables, but one of the other big drivers for this like change to like real coffee was about 10 months ago, I tried my very first espresso martini, and I was lucky because the first one I had was from like a really good Italian restaurant. So they made it my first one was an awesome espresso martini. I've had some bad ones since then, but we always kind of said like, this is a drink we want to start making at home, just like, when we're sharing a drink, me and my wife. But since I had some bad ones, I'm like, we need to have something that produces really good espresso. And for my birthday, my wife got me one of them. I think it's called a mocha. It's the thing that like you take camping or you just make it on your stovetop, where like you put the grounds in and then you put the water underneath and then it boils and then whatever. And I tried making, it's like a kettle. It's like the tall kettle thing.
Like when I think mocha, I think of chocolate coffee.
I think it's actually called a mocha.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, MOKA or something like that.
Oh yeah. The brand, yes. Okay.
And so I tried that. It was really good, but the problem with that is unless you have the beans ground to a certain like they can't be roughly grounded. I was just kind of doing it in a blender, like a food processor. So you didn't get like the crema that is supposed to come out. So that was one of the big things is we need to make really good espresso just to have espresso at home, but also for the espresso martinis. So, yeah, and I apologize to Ash and chat who now wants a coffee, but there's never a bad time for a coffee. A lot of people frown at having coffee after lunch, but hey, if you want a coffee, have a coffee.
Have a coffee. This is probably because I'm sick and my body doesn't work right, but for a long time when I was a kid, I remember caffeine affecting me, but definitely not as an adult. I can drink a full coffee right before I want to go to sleep, and I'll fall asleep drinking it. So like I don't really care what time of the day it is, but it kind of reminds me of people who like, oh, it's winter, therefore I have to have soup, but I can't have soup in the summer. Or people who drink like, who are like, oh, stout beer, that's for the winter. And I'm like, I get it. I understand that you want it more in the winter, maybe, but like, it's July, it's 90 degrees. If I want a stout, I'm drinking a stout.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. If it's good, it's good.
That's true. I'm pretty seasonal with my drinks. Like I don't want a sour in winter and I don't want a stout in summer. But I see what you're saying. It's a lot like gaming. Play what you want when you want. Drink what you want when you want.
That's right.
Coffee. So.
That's my philosophy. And not only do what you want when you want, but also shame people for feeling like they're a slave to society.
Yeah,
that's important too. To make sure to make people feel bad.
Speaking of drinking, we're having a Nickelbrook Marzen Oktoberfest lager.
Oh, nice.
Delicious. This is my favorite brewery, Nickelbrook from Burlington, Ontario. Speaking of Nickelbrook, I've been listening to a lot of Nickelback this week for some reason.
I just want to make everybody aware I'm drinking a Members Mark purified water.
Mm-hmm.
Recycle the planet, purified water for your thirst. 0%. I'm off the sauce right now, but
cheers.
Yeah.
So sorry, I don't mean to stretch out the playful banter that always starts out our show, but yeah, I randomly got a Nickelback song in my head earlier this week, and been listening to a decent amount of Nickelback, and I grew up with a little bit of Nickelback, as you did, and many people listening probably did. It kind of made me think, like, Nickelback it's universally accepted that you are to hate Nickelback. Everybody hates Nickelback.
Correct.
And I also think it's more silently universally accepted, but that, people are generally not sure why we hate Nickelback. We just hate Nickelback, you know? And
they're a victim of their success.
Is that it though? Is it something about being like that early 2000s alt rock? I don't know what you would call them.
Dad rock.
Call them dad rock?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's part of it. It's kind of like a lame version of rock, but his voice is silly and the songs are clearly pre-written for them, that kind of stuff. But they're also catchy, and they were popular for a reason. So I don't know. Is it one of those things where it's like, in retrospect, they're bad, or were they just objectively bad?
When I was in like 6th or 7th grade, maybe even a little younger than that, is when like all the boy bands blew up, like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and all that kind of stuff, around the same time of Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera or whatever. And in the late 90s elementary school brain, it was not cool to like those bands. One, because they were like, they're like, you're gay if you like that, right? That's how we thought in that time period.
Stuff.
Yeah, mainstream stuff. But also just because it was like, well, they're boys, so I can't like them too much, or well, once again, I'm gay. And now, like, dude, you throw on some Backstreet Boys, I'm jamming to it. And I don't know if I ever actually thought it was bad, or that was the popular thing to think. And for whatever, I don't know why, but again, I think it's like I think we were iconoclast as a society before we realized we were iconoclast. Like, people don't like things when it gets famous, when it gets big.
Right.
Now, granted, I was very much into like the hidden indie scene, and I definitely could have quoted that hipster line of I've been listening to them since before they were big.
We all loved referencing bands that other people hadn't heard of.
Right. But I think that's part of it, is that we like don't want to like things that other people like because it's nerdy to like things other people like. Mm-hmm. But not anymore. It's very popular to just be part of the mainstream now. Dude, I'm so happy Creed is making a comeback.
Are they?
I never stopped liking Creed. I may have stopped listening to them off and on. Like they've definitely not been in my rotation consistently for 20 years, but they've never been a bad band.
Now, I have nothing against religion, but I will be honest and say that when I discovered that he was singing about Jesus, my perception of the band did change.
I think it depends on if you believe he was singing about Jesus or not.
Okay, so he wasn't?
I mean, I don't.
Wasn't
only
it-
he can answer that, right?
Is Creed Christian rock?
I would say that depends on who you ask. Some people would say they're not Christian enough, and other people would say they're too Christian.
Right.
And there was a time period, and I know this because I was like in that scene of Christian rock music in the late 90s, early 2000s, of like youth pastors would call it like Jesus is my girlfriend, where if you listen to the song with zero context, like you didn't know potentially Scott Stapp was singing that from a Christian perspective. So it sounded like he was talking about a girl, but if you were listening to it with the Christian perspective in mind, he was talking about Jesus. So like there was this whole era of, well, if I say I'm a Christian, I can gather this audience of Christians who are thirsty for some kind of music. But if I don't explicitly say it, then I can still get the people who hate Christians. So like there was this whole time period, and it probably still exists to some extent, of people who would just make music and subtly be Christian, but not really be Christians. Or maybe they were Christians, but that wasn't really what they wrote the song about. So like it's a mystery. Whether Scott Stapp, I think most Christians for a while disavowed him because he went on like some weird, I don't know, some weird stuff happened with Scott Stapp that people rejected him. But was he singing about Jesus or not? Never know. Never know.
Interesting stuff.
I could get in it. If you want to ever have a discussion, if we just want to start a new podcast all about the early 2000s Christian alt rock scene, I could probably fill an episode or two.
I'm sure there are listeners out there. I don't know who they are, but
it's funny because I'm a Christian. I go to church. I'm very like interested in faith, but I don't care about that type of like, as a child, I was only like really allowed to listen to rock music if it was Christian rock, which of course, I wanted to find the bands that sounded like the most like the non-Christian bands so that I could listen to it and still fit in with my friends, which is part of why a lot of bands did that. But now as an adult, I don't really think about that as much. I'm like, is this something I enjoy or not? And is it harmful to other people? Like those are really my only two criteria for what I listen or watch. And, I was listening to something the one day or there was a song on, and I was with this person that I met recently who is like very, very old school conservative Christian. And they were like, oh, are these guys a Christian band? And I was like, I have no idea. They're like, how could you not know? And I was like, I didn't think about it. They didn't say Jesus, so I just didn't even think about it. I don't know. But it's just funny to think about. Like there's some people, when I was a kid, drinking and music and stuff like that were like big topics in the circles I ran in, and now it's like I don't even think twice if somebody has a beer. Like it doesn't, unless they're drunk in front of me, I'm not assuming they're living a terrible life. And even if they are, they're probably not. It's just the day where they're drunk. So
there you go.
You grow and you mature. Derek O says, had a friend in college that liked Reliant K and Skillet a lot. They were not great. Well, the friend wasn't great or the bands weren't great, because Reliant K I have seen somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 times. And they fall into that.
Bands?
Yes, I think these two would fall in the actual camp of Christian rock, but I knew kids who weren't allowed to listen to Reliant K because they weren't Christian enough.
They weren't Christian enough.
They weren't Christian enough. It wasn't that the people in the bands weren't Christians. It was that the music wasn't Christian enough.
Right.
So, I don't know. Then you have other bands who like, preach about the Bible in their songs. Those are like obviously Christian bands, but Reliant K fell deeply into that. Like they had some songs that were explicitly Christian, some songs that were explicitly about their lives or their girl, all pop punk stuff in the early 2000s. And some people didn't like that if they couldn't exactly pin down precisely what their religious doctrine was.
Right. What's the Jesus agenda here? You got to make it clear, right?
What is the agenda? If I don't know specifically what you believe and where you're going to spend eternity, I can't possibly enjoy your music. Now,
could you go from singing about Jesus directly to singing about popping bottles at the club, or did you have to pick a lane?
I think that most people, if they were popping bottles at the club, they weren't talking about it in their music if they fit into that category. I do remember I went to this store because I liked a lot of like heavy alternative stuff. The Jesus Agenda could be a band name, says Ash in chat. That's potentially true. There was this store called Family Christian Stores, and they of course sold like a lot of like church stuff, books, whatever. But they were the only people around who carried enough music that I was allowed to listen to, while also carrying cool enough music that I would like it. But it wasn't like something I could go and get in Walmart, and Amazon wasn't really a thing at the time. So we used to go to Family Christian Stores to get a lot of music, and we'd get stuff that was like definitely not Christian music, but it was the people in the band were Christian, so it counted, you know. And I remember one time I went in and asked for a CD, and I was like, oh, I was going to get it last time I was here. I didn't, and now I don't even see a spot for it on the shelf. And he was like, oh yeah, the entire store, you know, the line of stores, the franchise, they pulled them. I was like, oh, why? And they were like, well, the lead singer at one of their shows said shit. Oh. And I was like, okay. Like I even as someone who was inundated in that culture, I was like, okay, like does it make it not okay music? And he's like, yeah, we just can't in good conscience sell it anymore. And I'm like, I guess I'm pretty sure that doesn't send him to hell right away. I don't anyway, getting off on a tangent, but that's what the beginning of the show is for.
There you go.
I'm telling you, man, I could go for hours on this stuff.
Shall we address the elephant that isn't in the room?
I kind of was thinking maybe we should. Okay. First of all, if you're still here for some reason and you don't know what the show is somehow, it's the HP podcast. We talk about video games and Christian rock bands from the early 2000s and Scott Stapp. Normally we are a three-piece. We have Brandon with us normally, but Brandon, his computer blew up today, apparently, which I chuckled at, but it's not funny. We all know Brandon loves his media consumption, as all three of us do. So he's not able to make it tonight. He doesn't quite know what's wrong with his computer. Hopefully we find out soon and it just starts working again. But
I sent him a message in our chat earlier today when we were kind of talking about this whole thing going down, and I said, shit, man, I hope it's not too bad. When I read it back, I'm like, that's something you say to someone who's had a family member go to a hospital or something. Yeah. And I thought, oh, that's not that serious. But then I realized it's Brandon and it's his computer. Yeah. So maybe it is that serious.
It is that serious.
But have Brandon's PC in your thoughts and prayers tonight.
Yeah.
And in your Christian rock.
Yeah. If you know any Christian rock bands who are looking for song ideas, could be singing about Jesus, could be singing about the computer. You know, you never know. Yeah. But that's why Brandon's not here. And I think after the 20 minutes we've been talking about Christian rock, we probably won't end up with a shorter show, but I was going to say we'd have a shorter show with just two of us, but we'll see. Shall we move on to the first piece of news, which dare I say is the big one?
Let's do it.
Valve has a bunch of new hardware that they announced today. This stuff, some of it's been rumored for a while, some of it's been rumored for less time. And they announced today 3 new pieces of hardware: the Steam controller, the Steam machine, and the Steam frame. The controller is, you guessed it, it's a controller. The Steam machine is a small box that plays games. It's essentially a PC, but it's meant to be more like a console device. And the Steam frame, which is a VR headset. It's a headset that plays VR or plays regular games. The Steam machine will come with the Steam controller. The Steam frame, I don't believe will, but they haven't announced it yet. I personally am hoping for a bundle deal for one price, and I can just buy them all and make sure Gaben's grandchildren have food to eat. But yeah, let's open it up first before we get into talking about actual like hardware specs and stuff like that. Dave, what do you think? You've been talking about wanting to get a gaming PC for a long time. Is that still a thing? Is this maybe going to be something you wait on and it's the move?
Yeah, I mean, this certainly does throw a wrench into the plans. And I only really got into this about an hour ago, but my first reaction is I think I might be the target audience for this.
Yeah.
I know we don't want to get too much into specs just yet, but
go ahead. You can get into them. That's fine.
Yeah, it appears to be a mid-range device. Yeah. The GPU that they've shown off is It appears to be custom, but it's not going to compete with the 40 and 50 series cards.
Right.
And that to me sort of suggests that this is going to be something that's going to compete with the current gen of consoles and maybe the next gen. And I think on the surface, you might hear that and be like, well, this is Steam. Why aren't they putting something out that's cutting edge and next gen and all that kind of stuff? But I don't know. I'm surprised, but I'm also kind of happy to hear that this is the direction they're going, because I think what Steam needs to do is target the console market or target the people that aren't already PC gamers, because I think in order for them to be competitive, and let's keep in mind, Steam is a software company. They're not a hardware company. Yeah, they've made some hardware before, but this is primarily a software company. I think they don't probably have the ability to compete with kind of the cutting edge technologies from a hardware perspective in the gaming space, but also I think there's a lot more people who'd be willing to buy their box if it's at a reasonable price.
Yeah.
So I know we don't have a price yet, but the other piece of this is considering it's running Steam's OS, which they appear to have gotten to work on the Steam Deck, perhaps it being a Steam focused device on mid-range hardware, maybe it can kind of outperform a little bit more compared to, just a PC with a similar kind of card. But yeah, for someone who's been interested in getting into being a primarily more PC gamer, I think this is something I'm going to keep my eye on. It sounds like it's going to come in 2026. And the fact that the box is going to come packaged with the controller means that they have the console market in their sights. I don't even know if it's fair to say that this is meant to be a streamlined PC experience, but more they're bringing the Steam OS to the console market, to the console gamer. So this has been rumored for a while. There seemed to be kind of some failed attempts at this before, but I think this is going to be a big thing in the industry. So yeah, Train is here.
Yeah, perfect timing for you to stop talking and have me pick up the slack. I appreciate it. Well, first, to your question about where does this fit as far as like graphics cards and other hardware, I had my last meeting of the day canceled today, and I was able to kind of look at some of the videos that were going around from people who actually had hands-on with this. They went to Valve's headquarters and actually had one of them being Digital Foundry, and with them evaluating the hardware that's in it, they're saying they believe somewhere between better than a Series S, maybe not quite as good as a PS5. So probably right in that PS5, maybe slightly less than that market. I think the big appeal for this is, yeah, it is for console gamers, or people who are interested in a console that you just plug it in and it works. But it's also for people who, like me, are heavily on PC and you have a huge library of games to play, but you don't always want to sit at your desk and play them with a mouse and keyboard, or sit at, the desk you maybe work at all day like I do. So it's got the appeal of having a huge library already. They saw that people, I'm assuming this played into their plans a little bit. They saw that people picked up the Steam Deck without even having a Steam account, and they picked up the Steam Deck and they just started buying games. And so give people another avenue to be in your ecosystem. Not everybody wants to build a high-end PC or even a mid-range PC, and give them a box they can plug in and turn on with the push of a button, and all of a sudden they're on Steam. And that is super appealing to many people, including me, who is a more hardcore user, and you, who is a hardcore gamer, but not necessarily a hardcore PC gamer. So it reaches a wide array of people, plus I'm sure many other people who are way more casual and may be interested in playing the stuff. It's not quite as powerful, it seems, as the current gen hardware, as we've seen for the console market, but it has that appeal of the PC games. It has the appeal, hopefully, of a decent price. And we also know that most people on PC are already only playing at 1440. And at 1440, this thing's pretty much a beast. It is RDNA 3, the GPU, which I don't claim to specifically know what exactly that means, but I do know that RDNA 4 is out now and would be preferable. The VRAM's a little lower than I personally would like. I'd like to see 16 gig, but I don't think this is targeted at playing the brand newest game at the highest frame rate possible. This is targeted at like my infinite backlog of Steam games that I bought in a Steam sale and just never decided to play. It is amazing. Like I do work with an indie publisher, and we can see some stats, and Steam makes some of those available as well on like what kind of hardware people are playing on. And even though a 30 series card is currently like leading the pack, it's the weakest 30 series card as far as what people are using to play games. And it's the most popular, but it's not by no means the average. Most people are still playing on lower end cards than that. So like for someone it's been a few years since they've upgraded their PC and they switched to this, it's still going to be a step up for the average person. And for the people who are higher than this, I assume, a brand new AAA epic game comes out on Steam, I'm probably not going to play it on this. I'm probably still going to play it on my PC that is going to be higher specs. But there's a lot of games I've got to play that I just don't need to sit at my computer to play, and that's okay. With Steam OS as well, there's like all sorts of appeal of customization. This box, they explicitly say it like on the front page of their new Steam hardware page, like it's your device. Why should we tell you what you can do with it? And they spell out like that you can install other operating systems and everything else if you really want to get in there and tinker with it. If you want to put Game Pass or whatever on there and do different launchers, whatever. And then it's also got like the ability to integrate like Discord specifically, like directly in Steam OS, and be able to communicate with people. I know that, obviously we've made some leaps and bounds in that area with PlayStation and Xbox in the last few years with pulling Discord into those ecosystems. But when you think about PC gaming, you think a lot of times about Discord as well, and that's an important part of it. So I'm really happy with this, specifically the Steam machine. Obviously, we only have a very few hands-on impressions of it in a controlled environment, so things are yet to be seen. But as long as this isn't obscenely priced, I'm in.
What do you think about the looks? I love aesthetics of new hardware. This is clearly supposed to be minimalist, but I loved the GameCube, and clearly that was the inspiration here, right, Ben? What do you think about this?
I saw everybody online calling it the GameCube.
The GameCube. Perfect.
I really like it too. As a matter of fact, my wife walked in a little bit ago into the office, and I said, I have good news and bad news. And she said, well, what's the good news? And I said, the good news is I'm getting some new gaming hardware. And she said, what's the bad news? I said, there'll be one more thing under the TV. And she's like, oh. And then she looked at it, she goes, oh, that's pretty good. And she's like kind of picky about like aesthetics too. I think it's cool. It doesn't like catch your. It looks almost like it's just nondescript. It's a box that just sits there. It's a cool looking thing. They also showed off like exchangeable faceplates if you're interested in making it match a different aesthetic or customizing it, which is cool for me. Just the straight, the black console is totally fine. So yeah, I'm totally down with the aesthetic of it. It's minimal while still having some style with that LED bar on the front. I have no complaints. What about you?
Yeah, I like it. I don't know if they've released dimensions, but it looks like it could fit right here on my desk, which would be perfect.
They haven't released dimensions that I know of, but they released a bunch of like video with it in it, and they also released like I think actually on the Steam hardware page they show it with a banana sitting on top of it, and the banana is like only slightly wider.
That's the scale. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know if that was the idea, but it's I definitely like that. And I didn't really see the blue LED thing until just now, and I think that's a nice subtle touch. But I like this minimalist design. I always thought the PS5 was a bit demonstrative, but this is what I like, You shouldn't notice these things, but if you look for them, you're like, "Oh, what's that?" So I really like this this direction they've gone for sure.
One cool thing about the marketing rollout, the initial reveal rollout, is that they're still heavily talking about the Steam Deck. And for people who are already in that ecosystem, who have Steam and play on PC, who have a Steam Deck, who are interested, etc., they made me feel not worried about Steam Deck support. One of the really cool things is that you can actually stream from this box. So games that might be too powerful or need too much power for the Steam Deck, but are suitable to play on the Steam machine, you can stream it directly to the Steam Deck without having your computer booted up. You can already do that with your computer and stream games to your Steam Deck, and it works very well. But having this, maybe in the same room while you're watching TV with the family, and you can boot up the Steam Deck, is a cool bonus. Nice. I think. Yeah, and I said earlier that the controller would come with it. I'm fairly certain that's true, but I could have been incorrect potentially. I don't see that now in this article. The other thing they revealed was the headset, the Steam Frame, I think is what they're calling it. I know that you're not big into VR, and I want to be into VR, and every time I experience some VR, I think it's really cool, but I never stick with it. But it's Steam, and I'm kind of interested. They talked a lot about how the headset would not only stream games from your computer or the Steam machine, but also that you could download it natively, and that they put a little bit bigger emphasis that not only does it do VR, but it also will play games that are just like not VR, right? 3D, whatever. So I think that's a cool feature too. Dave, what do you think as somebody who's not a VR enthusiast?
I'm not interested.
I know you're not interested. I asked what you think.
I'm not interested. I wonder why they're doing this. I don't want to go as far to say that I feel like VR is failing, because I think it has its place. Maybe not as much in gaming industry as maybe we thought 10 years ago, but in general, I think it has a space. But I don't know. Has Valve not had VR devices in the past?
They had one, yeah.
The Index
it did very well.
It did. Okay. So
yeah.
I don't know. This feels like a corner of the industry that I'm surprised to see Valve putting additional investment in, but it's not for me. So yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. Half-Life Alyx would be cool. Other than that, I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not there.
It is interesting because you don't really think of Steam as a VR heavy area, but like almost every device is able to be played with Steam games. So any games that have 3D support or anything, you can play with the Oculus if you plug it in your computer, use an extension to do it wirelessly. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure the PSVR 2 can be now. I think that's why they made that dongle a little while back and made it. But again, I'm not deeply involved in that ecosystem anymore, so I don't know. I think VR is super cool, and I think it's a neat area to explore occasionally for me. It's not somewhere I want to be all the time, but like if you look at some of Steam's biggest, like if you look at VR chat, like VR chat's huge. And yeah, a lot of people play on a flat screen, but many people play that in VR. And Steam's had VR stuff in the past, so I think they just want to keep pushing it forward. For me, the Steam machine, unless they price it at a totally unreasonable price, is a must buy. The headset is if they make a cool bundle with this, I'll probably go ahead and just grab it because I want to. My wife was talking about how I said something about Steam. This was before this. I was talking about the rumors or something. I don't know. And she said Steam's everywhere in our house. Like everything we have is Steam related. Steam Deck, Steam, whatever. She wasn't complaining. She was just like commenting. And I was like, yeah, well, just remember our mortgage is also paid by Steam because most of the revenue my company makes is from Steam related things. So you should be happy for Steam. But I'm excited. I'm really happy. The controller on its own, if you just were to pick up a controller to play the games you already have, is really neat. I won't go into all the details there because I'm a Luddite when it comes to controllers. I don't use controllers very often, but I think the combination with the Steam machine is going to be pretty neat.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of the PC games that I'm missing out on, the allure of playing them is playing with mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
But
you can have that option with the Steam machine. You can plug it in and use them.
That's another cool thing is Valve is not shoving their hardware down your throat. Their focus is their ecosystem. That's where they want you to be. Apart from that, you do what you want. So,
yeah, it's super smart because if I buy a PlayStation, I'm locked to the PlayStation Store. If I buy an Xbox, I'm locked to the Xbox Store, at least for now. If I buy a Steam machine, I'm locked to Steam and anything Windows can play or any other operating system. But that's so much. Like there's very few things that aren't on Steam. And as we've seen in recent years and talked about many times on the show, PlayStation, Xbox are both making big pushes into the PC game marketplace. Really, again, the only thing you have almost no access to is Nintendo titles, and that's why I have a Switch.
Or emulator.
I wouldn't say that, Dave. They'll come
we've
after
just
us.
been taken off the air.
Oh, the stream just shut down. Sorry. Anything else here, Dave, or do you want to move on to the next thing?
No, I'm with you. Depending on price, I might be day one here. This might solve all my problems, so I'm excited about this.
I'm very excited, very much looking forward to it, and I already have a great machine that can run Steam games, but I want more because I'm greedy and I'm a consumer, and I'll take it. That's fine.
It's going to be tough, but it might be time for me to retire my 1070. I mean, it'll still be there, but
yeah,
it won't be for gaming, you know?
Right. You could run all your torrents off of that. All your pirated Nintendo games that we all know you play. Yeah.
You can't say that, man.
Well, they would go, if Nintendo heard that, they would go back and listen to all the old shows where you defended them. So it'd be fine.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've more than redeemed myself.
At this point. GameSpot says GTA 6 delay could cost Rockstar $60 million as insiders report game is content complete. Take-Two sent the internet into a spin last week when it announced GTA 6, by now one of the most anticipated game releases of all time, would be delayed another 6 months to November 19th, 2026. Insider reports suggest the delay will cost Rockstar as much as $60 million, while other reports claim the game is already content complete with extra time needed for polishing and bug fixes. Insider Gaming's Tom Henderson revealed the cost of the delay in his November 8th podcast. Says, I got a number from a developer on this, and they think this is going to cost Take-Two $10 million a month extra now. So we're talking an extra $60 million. Henderson added that it could be as much as $100 million with additional costs factored in. The point of how much they're costing themselves is probably irrelevant because we know this game was going to make billions upon billions of dollars. But I did want to talk about the inevitable delay here that we all saw coming and probably even talked about. We anticipated it coming last week on the show. Of GTA 6 being delayed. Dave, this is, it wasn't going to be on Steam to begin with anyway, right? Probably it was only going to be on consoles, so it doesn't hurt the Steam machine any. But how do you feel about GTA 6 being delayed another 6 months?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of speculation circulating amongst the interwebs about why this happened, and I think it's pretty obvious. Ghost Ship Games announced that tomorrow they're going to be making a big announcement about Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, and Rogue Core and Rockstar Games knew that they didn't want to go toe-to-toe with that, so they just bumped out to be safe.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is going to be the biggest video game release of all time. Grand Theft Auto just has such a, and I'm talking about Grand Theft Auto, not Deep Rock Rogue Core, just to be clear.
Well,
Grand Theft Auto has such a presence, not just in video game history, but in pop culture, that I can give Rockstar a bit of grace if they want to get it right the first time. And, we've seen a lot of examples over the past several years of games that seem to willingly launch in maybe not the best state and just kind of fix it in post, as it were. And I think with a lot of games, we've just kind of gotten used to allowing them. We get really grumpy at them on launch day, but 6 months in, when they've started to fix things, all is forgiven, all is forgotten. But I think considering that so much of the limelight is going to be on Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto 6 when this does inevitably launch, that maybe one delay is acceptable. The question is this going to stretch out into 2027? I really wonder why there was, and we saw this with Cyberpunk, I'm sorry, I have to say it, why there was such a rush to give us a date. If Rockstar was always targeting for a significant amount of time 2026, what was so wrong with just giving us the year 2026, and then in January 2026 kind of assessing the state of the game, and then at that point giving us an actual date? Because I feel like, again, because Grand Theft Auto was such a big thing, like this has massive effects when it comes to share prices, the stock market, things like that. That this sort of shift really kind of has a tremor effect across the industry. So I don't want to get into kind of like conspiracy theories or anything like that. It's just really puzzling to me why, when we've seen this time and time again over the past several years, why there was such a rush to give us a date that wasn't final, you know? I just like, I feel like if they came out with that trailer last year and said GTA 6 coming 2026 and then just kind of left it at that, it would have been fine. But this is, it's kind of disappointing, and May was turning into kind of a wasteland for video game releases, and now we're just going to have this void where one game was supposed to launch and everybody else moved away from. So hopefully some of the games that did kind of shy away from May 2026 are now going to move in there. But I don't know, just this rush to give us a date. I guess it's a shareholder thing, but in the end, it's just going to kind of screw Take-Two. So yeah, I'm not super mad at Rockstar about this. Like, it's such a big thing that, like, let them take their time, give us a finished product, but like, just don't rush to give us a release date. It's okay. One date is fine. Just, yeah.
Yeah, I feel a few different ways about this. On one hand, I agree with you. On the other hand, there's a lot of people online who are like, there's no way they're content complete and just doing bug fixing. Guys, do you have any idea how absolutely massive of a game this is going to be? Not only in terms of cultural impact, but in terms of the actual game scale itself. I'm sure it's going to be huge, and they want to get it right. And polish takes a lot longer than you'd think for a game of this size. On the release date part, I agree. They could have just said 2026 and then moved out of the way. But then we come into issues where it's like, Silksong said, hey, we're releasing in 2 weeks. And people were mad they didn't give them enough notice to move out of the way. Which, by the way, if you look at analytics, and if you go to any website that analyzes video games, they'll tell you that it didn't have an impact on other games that ended up releasing in that same time period. But I digress. So, like, on one hand, could they have been less specific and then announced a release date later? Maybe. But would people have still been mad at them if they dropped it without giving them a year's notice? Probably. I think they dropped that trailer early on because they got that big leak, which kind of forced their hand in some way. But I don't really know like what advantage or disadvantage there was to having their game out there earlier, or specific with a date. It's also entirely possible that they thought they were going to be good to go, and then they changed one thing and it screwed up a bunch of. There's all sorts of scenarios that could have happened. So again, I'm with you, Dave. I can't be mad at Rockstar for doing this. I really think too that, like, how many times has GTA 6 been printed or spoken in the last week since they announced this delay? It's just another marketing cycle as well, which is very cheap to say we're delaying the game and people talk about it and get excited about it again. It just brings them back into the conversation. Not that they were ever out of it, but it changes the landscape for them too. So I don't know. I'm not mad at them. Not that I would have been mad at them regardless, but I'm also like sympathetic to either they thought maybe it would be longer than May and they said, well, we got to put a date out there, or they literally didn't know and there's nothing they could have done about it. I don't know.
Right. I wonder what this does to the 2026 holiday release schedule, because there's been rumblings about what Activision was going to bring with Call of Duty. Ubisoft potentially had something, Assassin's Creed remake, lined up. And the new date they gave, Wolverine. The new date they gave was November. So that's pretty much the end of the holiday release season. But I wonder if you start seeing people move out into early 2027, because Grand Theft Auto doesn't come around real often, and it literally shuts the industry down. Like, it's huge. And yeah, I don't know.
When did GTA 5 come out? What year was that?
1967.
It feels
was
like
a Wednesday.
Yeah.
2012, 2011.
Okay. Right at the very tail end of the PS3 generation, I think.
Yeah, a
Sounds
few
right,
generations ago.
Yeah. It's interesting. Then they'll be launching probably about a year before
2013. Pardon me.
2013. They launched at the end of the PS3 era, and they'll be launching the new one at the end of the PS5 era.
That's strategic though, right? Because then you have a PS5 launch, and then you're going to have a PC launch, and then you're going to have a PS6 launch, and
Yep.
not that they need the spikes, but it's
if things go as they have, a PS7 launch as well, and the greatest hits collection, and extensive monetization on Grand Theft Auto Online again, and yeah, that's one thing I'm still interested to see is how they handle that transition between the people who are currently playing GTA Online, and if how they will integrate them into the new. I assume they're going to have a new GTA Online of some sort. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that. Ash says GTA 7 is going to be insane on the PS8 Pro. I bet it will run pretty well.
I want to laugh at that, but it's probably true.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Dave, this one, I thought of you when I saw this news story earlier in the week or last week. MP First says Halo Infinite content support ending on November 18th. While Halo Infinite might still have a player base that enjoys going through each new content, that's ending very soon. As part of the community live stream, the developers confirmed that Operation Infinite will be the last content drop for the game. 4 years after its release in 2021, the first Halo game saw that a free-to-play release is finally... The first Halo game that saw a free-to-play release is finally wrapping things up, which shouldn't surprise anyone, honestly. In the community live stream, Halo Studio devs mentioned this upcoming Halo Infinite update will be our last planned major content release. That's going to be Operation Infinite, and it's got some good stuff in it, but we did kind of want to let people know that going into it. Set to be rolled out on November 18th on consoles and PC, Halo Infinite's Operation Infinite will see the release of double XP progression for career rank and Spartan points. Similar to the original plan from past seasons, Operation Infinite's free and premium Operation passes won't have an expiration date. When it comes to content, there will be a new ranked map, a new Husky raid map, 200 plus new exchange items. Halo Studios has a meaty deep dive on all the Operation Infinite info, so go check it out. While this marks the end of the content support for the game, playlist updates and bug fixes should still be part of the rotation, though that means updates will be far and few between, if at all. This marks the end to Halo Infinite's live service rollout, though we're hoping we'll see a new iteration of the franchise's multiplayer surface soon. Dave, Halo Infinite made a big splash when it came out, quickly became kind of reviled, went through a little bit of an uptick. We know that Halo Studios has been back and forth between doing great and doing terrible, or at least whatever the news cycle tells us. They said they planned on this game, at least in, I don't know, something I heard back in 2021, that Halo Infinite was going to have a 10-year life cycle, and maybe even longer, but that doesn't seem to have been the case. I'm just curious to get your perspective on this as someone who finds no fault with Halo Infinite whatsoever.
Is that what you thought of me? That's funny. It turns out Halo Infinite is not, in fact, infinite. And, you know, when you started reading that story and you kind of put it in perspective, 4 years doesn't sound too bad, but for a Halo game, and then you added the fact that they promised a decade and we got less than half of that. This is a really, really sad death. And I know the game is not going offline, but ending content support is pretty much as bad as going offline. So I don't know. If you had asked me before this game came out, why do you think this game would fail? My thought would be it's because what Halo did well is not something that people want to play anymore. Just it couldn't innovate. It's a dinosaur when it comes to first person PvP competitive shooters. And I don't think that was the case. If anything, I showed that there still is a lot of people who want to play this kind of first person shooter. And I think the fact that it's died because seemingly the developer 343 just kind of gave up on it so quick is what makes it such a sad death. We've seen time and time again where games have rough launches and we're all really mad at everybody. But then update, new content, new season, and suddenly we've forgotten, and everybody loves the game. And even though Infinite launched to some vitriol, I think the bones of the game were good, and I think it was set up in a position to really have a strong life cycle. And just reminding me about that 10-year thing, it hurts so much because like this could have gone on for a long time and really been something great, but it just like 6 months in, and it was clear that 343 was not going to support the game, and it wasn't getting anything interesting content wise. There was a decent amount of people sticking around with the game, and I don't know, it's really sad. And I think, I keep blaming it on 343, but I think clearly there was a strategic shift at Microsoft shortly after this game came out. And we'll always have the campaign, which I thought was fantastic. I think the silver lining here is the fact that we're getting this update so soon after the reveal of Campaign Evolved suggests that all Halo Studios is doing is moving its resources to what is inevitably going to be the multiplayer update for Campaign Evolved, or whatever comes next for that Unreal Engine cross-platform Halo experience. So I think something new is coming, but just kind of in retrospect, thinking about how excited I was for Halo Infinite, it was going back to basics. It was going back to, you're playing on one Halo ring. It was really sad to see kind of the way it played out. So too bad to see, but I think there is more exciting stuff coming. So yeah.
It's interesting because on its face, you say this game only had support. And I don't mean you say, but like we say, this game, it's only been 4 years. It's shutting down, and it's had pretty consistent updates in that time. But like only 4 years. If you told me that 15 years ago, I'd be like, wow, it's gonna have 4 years of support. That's crazy good. But the problem is, it's not 15 years ago, and you can't do that anymore if you are going to be a live service game. You have to continue to sustain it, and it has to not only be sustained but be good. I'm pretty sure like Vermintide 2 has more concurrent players on Steam than Halo Infinite has in recent past, and I'm not checking those numbers, so you can fact check me, but I won't care. But the game has just not been appealing to people because the updates it's provided has just not met the standard of what live service people have come to expect. And I bailed out real early. It wasn't that I didn't like it anymore. I was good with my experience after a couple months, and then I bailed. But for people who are really enjoying it, this sucks. But yes, like you said, the servers are not going down. The game's still going to be up. It will be operational. But I noticed with recently New World shut down, and what you notice is they're like, oh, we're going to leave the servers on into 2026, but that game is dead immediately. Everybody gets together, they have their goodbye parties, and they move on to something else. And I wonder if it's the same for games that we know are ending support. Everybody wants to get in on the last season and be part of the send off for the game, and then you have some stragglers playing afterwards, or is it, well, there's nothing else coming, let's pack it up? That'll be interesting to watch, specifically with this game, because it's Halo, and see what really happens there. So I don't really know anybody who is still playing Halo Infinite personally. I'm sure there are plenty. It's sad to see. I hope something better comes from it. I hope that now I feel so bad because I used to absolutely adore Halo. I remember so many great parties getting together playing Halo, both in person and online. And over the years, yes, I've gotten older, but also like it's just never been the same as it was back in the early times, the Halo 2 era, Halo and Halo 2 era. But I'm curious to see what happens with the IP moving forward, because I don't know. I don't want to say Master Chief's getting too old, but like they got to do something different than just put out a slightly better Halo game next time. And if they put out if they put out a phenomenal Halo game and it's single player only, I'm going to be excited. But if they just put out another, like, oh, here's some more Halo, that doesn't do anything for me anymore, unfortunately. Call me Zoomer Brain if you want, but that's where I'm at in life. I need content. Yeah, I'm a content whore. Okay.
You are.
PlayStation sales update. This comes
dirty
from
DLC slut.
This comes from Simulation. Back to the Halo thing for a minute. I do wonder, like you mentioned, like the major changes at Microsoft. I wonder how much their ongoing strategy feeds into this,
Or lack thereof.
The fact that Halo multiplayer was free at launch, it was really great. But I wonder how much the Game Pass model has also fed into this. Like if it was Game Pass, multiplayer is free if you have Game Pass, if this game would last longer because they could justify the revenue more versus it's free for anybody who wants to check it out. I do wonder how that overall shift in strategy, because I think even when that game launched, Game Pass wasn't nearly as notorious as it is now, for better or for worse. So I'm curious how the whole overall strategy of Microsoft Studios has changed it as well. Simulation Daily says Sony announced its financial results for the second quarter of fiscal year 2025 related to the period between July and September, alongside the traditional update on PS5 shipments. According to the financial documents provided by the House of PlayStation, 3.9 million PS5 units were sold through the quarter, bringing the lifetime total to 84.2 million units. Of course, if you like competition, this is lower than Nintendo Switch 2's 4.5 million units shipped in the quarter. That being said, we can't present it as an apples-to-apples comparison. The Switch 2 is a new console, and the PS5 is in the second half of its life cycle. Looking at pure financial results, net sales for the game and network segment, which includes PlayStation and PlayStation Network, were 41.6 billion yen, up 4% year on year, driven by growth in network services and sales of games. In terms of profits, operating income was 18.5 billion yen, down 13% year on year. The drop was partly due to impairment losses against a portion of Bungie's intangible and other assets in connection with Destiny 2, which means it was a bad investment. Dave, I'm curious what you think. There's a lot more here, plenty more here, lots more numbers to make your eyes water. But what do you think here of Sony's financial results for the quarter?
Yeah, the Bungie stuff I did find particularly interesting because there seemed to be some surprise across the industry that maybe looks like not a great investment. But then again, what has Sony really done with Destiny since acquiring Bungie? I think maybe a little bit was too much put into Marathon. That seems to have just been not killed off, but slowly silenced. So I don't know. It's still tough for me to think about Destiny and associate that directly with Sony, but what they do with that property, which is, we talked about GTA 6 earlier, the biggest thing in gaming, Destiny 2 isn't far behind. And I really hope Sony has big plans for that IP, because it can make them a lot of money or it can cost them a lot of money. And I think, the future of that franchise is going to be massive for Sony. So I hope they're starting to see that changes need to be made. And I assume that behind the scenes they're planning something. But I think it's one of the most intriguing parts of Sony's portfolio is Bungie and what their future plans are. They've been talking for years about wanting to get into the games as a service space, and I think this is their single biggest asset. They just have to do it in a smart way and not a predatory way, and in a way that is gamer first. So, yeah, hopefully we see something soon that's exciting from Bungie.
That's my motto: is gamers first. That's how I think about. That's my political platform.
You should run again. Was that your platform when you actually won an election?
Yeah. Gamers first. Yep. All the way. Small towns full of old people really care about that kind of stuff. So that's why I made that my platform.
I was going to say, are there any game shops in Butler?
There are now. There is now. Yeah.
Thanks to your platform.
So. Yeah, very successful. And not only was it thanks to my platform, he's in my old building.
There you go.
So, I'm basically saying I made it possible. I don't have a lot to add here, Dave. I think the like you said, the Bungie piece is interesting. I am really interested to see what happens there. I think they thought, I think that Marathon is going to be forever marred by that first public test, or it wasn't even public. The first test that was outside their studio. no matter how good the game becomes, I'm afraid that it's going to be a stain on them for a long time. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope people really. I hope I enjoy it. I hope everybody enjoys it. But the landscape's a little different now than when they originally signed them on, and I'm curious how that affects their thought process. I don't understand at this point why. I mean, maybe it's contractual or whatever. Why Sony hasn't basically just said like, okay, you don't get to do your own thing anymore. But I'm curious to see what happens with them. Destiny 2, I know tons of people still play it, but it's old, man. Just let it go.
Yeah. I don't know if high hopes, because I think the golden age of Destiny was when they left Activision.
Yeah.
And that's when they did their best work. And now they're
Yep.
back with another big parent, and seemingly nothing's happened, right?
They were not young, but they were hungry
Yeah.
when they left Activision, because they were getting to do what they wanted to do. And then I think they built that so strongly into their DNA of the purchase that we're going to still do what we want to do, that ended up biting them in the butt. Because, I mean, if you look at Bungie's history, they've been with a lot of different people over that amount of time. I don't want to make any comparisons to like real life things, but sometimes if you've been with a lot of different companies, maybe all of them are not the problem.
Is Bungie the Taylor Swift of gaming? Is that where we're going with this?
I wasn't going to call out anybody specifically, Dave, but if you want, yeah, it's fine. You know,
the Nicki Minaj. No.
The more relationships Taylor Swift has had, the worse her music has gotten. Is there a correlation? I don't know. Could be. Now she's with somebody really big, and still a billionaire, but at what cost?
So who is Bungie's Jason Kelsey is what we need to figure out. Travis Kelsey.
They should try going back to Microsoft just to see what happens.
Go ship games.
Go ship games. Yeah. Last news story is one I'm sure Dave is. Well, I don't know. I don't think you are excited about.
Sorry, it's NetEase.
Oh.
If you think about it. Destiny Rising was pretty hot.
That's true. Yeah. Destiny Rising got me more interested in the Destiny universe again than I had been in years. I mean, I put thousands of hours into the Destiny games over a decade or whatever, but anyway.
Yeah.
Games Radar says Elden Ring Nightreign performed well beyond initial expectations. From Software parent company says, and DLC could take it even further. Elden Ring Nightreign, a weird and experimental multiplayer-led title that From Software basically built in a cave using exploded fragments of Elden Ring proper, has been a big hit. Parent company Kadokawa said From Software's Elden Ring Nightreign has performed well beyond initial expectations. We are aiming for further sales growth for Elden Ring Nightreign, an original Elden Ring and its DLC. We are aiming for further sales growth for Elden Ring Nightreign, original Elden Ring, and its DLC. In August, publisher Bandai Namco celebrated its own Nightreign high, with digital profits up 7 billion yen, partly thanks to over 5 million Elden Ring Nightreign players. In its report, Kadokawa adds that From Software is currently developing Nightreign DLC planned for release in fiscal year 2025. Elden Ring Tarnished Edition planned for release in 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, and the Duskbloods planned for release in 2026. Dave, you're a big Elden Ring fan, but I didn't realize until right before we started, you were watching someone play Nightreign, and you were like, I don't know if I should get into this. And I didn't bring it up at the time, but I thought you had played Nightreign. Have you not touched it at all?
No, I haven't. It's it really changed the formula for Elden Ring in a way that apparently was successful, because anything from anything Elden Ring is going to do well. But you said 5 million players. It's a $250 million in revenue that they did, because that game hasn't gone on sale a whole lot. But yeah, I think it changed the game for me in a way that I love watching anything from Soft on Twitch, YouTube, anything like that. But yeah, I think about Elden Ring now. So you've got Elden Ring, the vanilla game, Shadow of the Erdtree, Nightreign, and then Nightreign is getting its additional content. Like, what a package it's turned into. And I know all that stuff is extra, but yeah, I love to see this stuff. I hope FromSoft has some cool new AAA stuff coming soon. And I know they're doing the Switch thing that's going to probably come to other consoles, but yeah, I was really curious to see kind of what Brandon thought about this, but rip Brandon. So yeah, did you end up playing Nightreign at all?
Yeah, I probably played it. I don't know. between 40 and 50 hours total, which is a lot, especially as
Of Night
compared
Rain.
of Nightreign. Yeah.
Did you finish Elden Ring?
No, that's
Okay.
that's what I was gonna say. It was a lot for me, especially compared to that. Elden Ring, I just feel like I liked it, but I just never had the stamina to stick with it. The longest amount of time I played with that game was actually in the seamless co-op mod. And then Nightreign came out, and I never finished that. Like I never beat all the missions, but I played it a ton and just went and redid missions over and over and over again. I liked it a lot. I mean, it's funny because as most people get older, they become less multiplayer gamers, and as I get older, I become more multiplayer gamer. I guess maybe it's because I don't have any like friends in my immediate vicinity that I can hang out with all the time, but I can play games with people all the time. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But yeah, I really liked Nightreign. I don't know if I'm interested in going back to it or not. I suppose when the boys hop in, maybe I'll hop in with them. I'm curious how that'll work if like they own the DLC and I don't. If I'll still get to play if they're hosting or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But yeah, I'm curious to see how it does. I think a lot of people didn't like it just because it was so different than all their other stuff, and it was so different than Elden Ring proper. But that's why I did like it. Not because I didn't like Elden Ring, but because they took a chance, and I was really interested to see how that went and explore that world in a different way. But yeah, I'm kind of shocked you didn't check it out.
No,
Thought you'd be all over it.
I think
you're probably waiting on Duskblood so you can buy a Switch too.
Sony was FromSoft's John Mayer, I think.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool.
So I don't think Sony was great for FromSoft. They did some good work. And, Taylor Swift was with John Mayer at one point.
Right,
but,
right. Yeah. Now I get it.
I could go hard with this, but... Yeah.
Thank you for explaining it. Did you have to look up if
I
Taylor Swift
forgot John Mayer's name, so I had to Google "Your Body Is a Wonderland" because I knew he sang that song.
I saw the reflection on your face change. Like it got apparently you don't use dark mode, and I saw your face go blinding white, and I was like, "What's he looking up right now?"
Yeah, I was just typing in "Your Body."
Now we know Dave was looking up John Mayer lyrics.
It was in my history for some reason. So.
Oh, weird! It was actually this morning you looked at it, and yesterday. And Dave, let's talk about what we've been playing. I don't think either of us have a whole ton here, which is okay.
No.
Go ahead. You go first. Actually, I'll go first. I'm sorry. I'm going to go first.
Sure.
I've just been continuing to play Arc Raiders and having a blast with it. I don't have anything new to report. They are coming out with a new map tomorrow, and I assume some other updates. That should be fun to hop into, but I've been pumping a couple hours a day. I've been pumping some time into it and having a great time. It's so good whether I'm going in to look at PvE or PvP or both or just whatever happens. I don't anticipate stopping playing it anytime soon. So that's really all I have to say.
I haven't watched a whole lot of Twitch in the last 2 days, but I'm looking forward to this game cooling the fuck off because I'm sick of just seeing my Twitch thing, just Arc Raiders. That said, I am enjoy watching people play it. It's a good Twitch game. In fact, one of my favorite streamer, Leopard Stealth, he's been playing it quite a bit. And he tweeted out something interesting about how the game gets kind of stale when you finish the missions. I'm not super familiar with this game, but I guess, the meta, the core gameplay loop is like any extraction shooter. You go in, you loot, you get out, upgrade. But there are missions that you can kind of attack as you go through this. These are kind of like secondary objectives and
somewhat story based. Yeah.
Have you finished them?
No.
Okay.
Matter of fact, the last 2 nights that I've played, I don't think we've even thought about the missions. We've just been going in and looting and building up our stockpiles and money and killing people if we felt like it, or cooperating with people to take down big machines. So I've heard that opinion a lot. As a matter of fact, I was starting to hear that opinion 48 hours after the game release. Like, oh, I'm done. And what else is there to do? And I'm like, I don't know. You could just have fun. That's an option. The game is the missions are there so that you can progress and build up your stuff more. But the game, I hate this phrase, but the game kind of starts when you finish the missions, in my opinion. That's when you really open up you can access all that content beforehand, but the fact that when you start the game, you could not take down the most the bombardier or the rocketeer or whatever. But like part of the way in you can, because you've upgraded your workbenches and everything else like that. And by the time you complete all those missions, you're armed with all the tools you need to keep continuing to dominate. And then if you hate PvP, first of all, the game's probably not for you, but I can understand. But like the encounters in game and the proximity chat, all that alone make it like totally just a different experience every time you play. So I don't understand people. I can understand saying I'm tired of this, but there's nothing to do. That perspective eludes me.
Interesting. It's funny you mentioned Marathon, and I wonder, like, this has been a pretty substantial release.
Yeah.
And I wonder what they're thinking at Bungie. They took all that feedback. They were finally ready to re-release the Marathon sort of beta, and then this comes.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, what do we do?
Yeah.
You got to react to this.
You have to react to it. It's the biggest thing we've seen in
since Starcraft.
Years. Yeah. Yep. Not only for the genre, it's like a big gaming monument too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
What do you got, Dave?
I had a bit of a panic moment because earlier this week I realized that Metroid Prime 4 is coming out in less than 1 month. Yes, I said that. Pretty crazy to think. It's been one of those games that's just kind of lived in the ether.
It's been around for a long time.
It's like the Duke Nukem Forever. Hopefully it plays out a little bit differently than Duke Nukem Forever did. But yeah, Metroid Prime 4 is coming out in a matter of weeks now. And I promised myself I would finish Metroid Prime 2 on my GameCube before it came out, and I haven't done that yet. So I popped into Metroid Prime 2. I'm towards the end of the game, so I don't have a lot to do, but this is a difficult game, and you die a lot, and it's an old school game, so when you die, you generally go back really far to the last time you saved. I'm fighting the Spider Guardian right now, which is it's a cool boss on paper, but it's one of the few bosses in the series that you fight entirely in Morph Ball form, which, the Morph Ball has its uses. It's a cool mechanic, but for fighting, it's not my favorite. So kind of stuck there right now, but I'm still trying to finish this game before Metroid Prime 4 comes out. So I'm really looking forward to, I've loved my time with the GameCube Metroid Primes. I think they're masterpieces, but they have not aged well in certain respects. So I'm really looking forward to playing Metroid Prime 4 with modern dual analog, and I realize there's a remaster of the first one, and even Metroid Prime 2 was redone on the Wii, but I kind of wanted to play the originals. But I am really looking forward to just traditional dual analog on its own.
Have you played 3 lately?
No, 3 I played on the Wii back in the day. So
yeah. Are you gonna replay it before 4?
No, I'm not planning on replaying that one.
Yeah.
But is it on game or Switch, or I don't think it is.
If it is, it wasn't natively there. I don't know if it's there now. That's a series I played the very original Metroid games, but I never got into the Metroid Prime series. And
see what Derek O just mentioned in the chat there. They got nerfed, the 2 bosses that we talked about in the Wii re-release. A lot changed in those re-releases from what I understand, and I'm going back and every now and then I have to watch videos just to try and figure things out. And I'm like, fuck, I kind of wish I played the Wii versions, but just owning, every once in a while I walk past my game collection and I look at Metroid Prime 2 on GameCube and I'm like, that's the rarest game I own. So I'm glad I have it.
Yeah.
The other thing I've been playing, I just played a little bit before the show started, but we talk about, tremor moments in the gaming industry and pop culture.
Yes.
And we had another one today. Deep Rock Galactic Survivor launched on mobile finally today. And I was playing that a little bit before we came on, and this game is perfect on mobile. Like I had a great time playing it on Steam, but I'm going to main Deep Rock Galactic Survivor on my phone, and having my controller with it just makes it that much better. It doesn't look great, but I wasn't expecting something that's cutting edge visually, but it's just the perfect pick up and play kind of experience. So I'm really happy to have this game in my pocket now, and I haven't bought it yet. It's $15 Canadian.
That's more than it cost on Steam, I think.
I think I paid $10 on Steam for early access. But $15 for that's a no-brainer. And there's like a deluxe edition, but you can also play for free. There's not a free version, but there is a trial. So if you haven't played Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, what's wrong with you? But also you can download the app on iOS or Android and try it out. And yeah, it's just a fun game. And I'm really excited to have this on my phone now. So.
I just looked. The phone game for me to upgrade past the trial is $9.99 for just the base version. The Steam version is $12.99. So I assume it's the equivalent of $3 in difference for the Canadian folk as well to some extent.
Yeah.
I think the deluxe edition you can get is like the supporter edition, which the only thing it does is gives you a little badge that says supporter edition. But I understand it, the perspective of like, well, support the small studio. If you want to give us a few extra bucks, we'll build in a PNG for you to rep if you want to, which I did, by the way, when that came out. Dave, big announcement tomorrow for Ghost Ship. We don't know exactly what it is tomorrow.
They're teasing that Rogue Core is finally coming out, but we'll see. So yeah. And they're also teasing something else for Deep Rock Galactic proper.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. They've kind of been teasing that, they want to get Rogue Core out the door and then they want to go back to Deep Rock Galactic and do some new stuff there. Not that they've kind of left it to die or anything, but
that's been well supported for sure.
Yeah. So tomorrow's going to be an exciting day for the Deep Rock Galactic community.
They've been supporting Deep Rock Galactic for longer than Halo Infinite was supported.
Yeah. Deep Rock Galactic had a longer and more fruitful lifespan than Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Probably made more money too.
I don't know about that, but I've definitely spent more time with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rock and Stone.
Rock and Stone for Carl. And for Brandon, who's not here with us tonight. Thanks everybody for hanging out and listening and watching, whatever you're doing. We appreciate it. I don't think I plugged it at the beginning of the show, but you can support us on Patreon. We would really appreciate that. Go over to patreon.com/handsomephantom. You can sign up for as little as $1 a month to support the show. And if you're on audio feeds, you get ad-free early access as well. You can catch us live streaming here every Wednesday night. Links are in the description. As a matter of fact, if you want to hang out on Discord with us a little bit more for totally free, you can do that over at handsomephantom.com/Discord. Ash just joined us this week. Ash has been a longtime regular listener, viewer, chatter, and just hopped into the Discord. So far, we've probably been a letdown. I'm going to say it. But thanks, Ash, for joining. And anybody else I may have missed, I'm not meaning to forget you. I just wanted to single Ash out. Dave, I think that's it. I think we're good to go.
Onward and upward. Good night, Gracie.
Right. Good night, Gracie. We'll see you guys later. Goodbye.